Hello, AI fans, and welcome back to another AI news round. Now, it's been another busy month with new interfaces and new governance layers announced, and this time we're going to be looking into Databricks 1 and how that has now become Databricks Genie. Yes, another thing called Genie, but trust me, this one has some really cool new features which I definitely want to take you through. We're also going to look at Anthropic's Project Glasswing and the Claude Mythos preview, the biggest shakeup to cybersecurity for a while by far. And we're also going to go back to Databricks and talk about the Unity AI Gateway, which expands on agent governance, especially for MCP servers. And of course, we're going to round it all off with Model Mania, a selection of the newest models and most groundbreaking models released this month. So let's get into it. All right, so first up, Databricks has effectively rolled Databricks 1 into Genie and made Genie the business user home screen for Databricks. Now, you may remember Databricks 1 as that cleaner, business-friendly interface, and it still is, but crucially, it's been absorbed, with Databricks saying Genie is now core to the whole business-facing user experience, as if that wasn't already glaringly obvious. Now, crucially, this new experience replaces Databricks 1, but keeps the /1 URL for compatibility. So 1 is still your business front door, it's just Genie behind the scenes. So what's actually new? Well, a ton of stuff. Genie can now answer beyond the boundaries of a single Genie space. So from one chat interface, Genie can pull from certified Genie spaces under the hood, governed dashboards, and Databricks apps, reusing the logic your teams have already vetted with routing that prioritizes higher trusted sources. And not only that, but you can now connect to external unstructured knowledge stores. And in my opinion, this one is huge. Databricks explicitly calls out connecting to Google Drive and SharePoint specifically, and says Genie now supports built-in connectors and MCP connections to reach enterprise systems and knowledge stores. And this one is going to be such a game changer. The SharePoint and Google Drive to agent issue has already been a sticking point for so many companies over the past year or two. This release from Databricks could suddenly blow all that potential wide open without the need for messy custom syncing pipelines. Now, these external connections are managed through the Unity Catalog AI Gateway, which, spoiler warning, we'll be touching on later, so they're simple to use and well governed. And finally, about 15 years after everyone else already jumped on the bandwagon, Databricks is finally releasing an app. The Genie mobile app is for both iOS and Android. And about 15 years after everyone else already jumped on the bandwagon, Databricks is finally releasing an app. The Genie mobile app is for both iOS and for Android and enables the full Genie experience on your phone, including dashboards, apps, and of course, chat. This is by far the strongest signal yet from Databricks that they're pushing agents as general purpose tools for company-wide access and adoption. Databricks is no longer just for data engineers and data scientists or for BI users or stakeholders. It's becoming a tool designed to be as simple to use for everyone, as simple as just checking your email to get data. And it's rapidly becoming for everyone in your company. All right, a really quick change of focus before we go back to Databricks. So in April, Anthropic announced Project Glasswing, a defensive cybersecurity initiative built around a restricted model called Claude Mythos. The key idea is that Mythos's preview has shown capabilities that can find and exploit software vulnerabilities at an extremely deep level, which is pretty crazy. Anthropic has made a model so powerful that it found years-old vulnerabilities and exploits in some of the world's most critical infrastructure. For example, it chained together Linux vulnerabilities to take it from user access to complete God mode over the entire system. But luckily, before Mythos gets released too widely, Anthropic have given the major tech companies a chance to prepare. Project Glasswing brings together a list of major groups, including AWS, Apple, the Linux Foundation, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and others. And Anthropic has committed up to $100 million in usage credits and $4 million in donations to open source security organizations to support these partners identifying vulnerabilities early before Mythos gets out into the world. So that might solve the problem, at least until the next major model comes along. All right, so as mentioned earlier, Databricks didn't just ship a new business user front door, They also announced the thing enterprises immediately ask for once agents and tools go into production, or at least what they should be asking for, and that is, of course, governance. Now, Databricks announced major enhancements to the existing AI gateway, and the big move is that the AI gateway is now integrated fully into Unity Catalog as Unity AI Gateway, extending Unity Catalog's permissions, auditing, and policy controls into the world of agentic AI. The new Unity AI Gateway comes with MCP governance, so you can control which agents can access which external systems, including on behalf of execution. So MCP calls run with the end user's permissions rather than the overpowered shared identity that they may already be using through a service principal. And this also means managed OAuth to help speed along per user permissions and access. Unity AI Gateway also provides observability for both LLM calls and MCP tool calls, and central registration for MCP servers through Unity Catalog, with centralized auditability as well, basically treating MCP servers like governed assets, which they basically are. So Databricks is trying to do for agents what Unity Catalog did for data. One policy layer for who can use which model, which tool, and which MCP server, with logs, costs, and guardrails included out of the box. And when you put that next to the new Genie experiences, you can see the broader strategy here. Genie is the front door for business users, and Unity AI Gateway is the control room for the agent layer behind it. So that pairing could be quite revolutionary for a lot of businesses out there, especially those who are currently on the fence about where to set up their next main agentic hub. All right, I think it's time to talk about some models. Now, there was so much activity in this space over the past month, and to be honest, it was really hard to decide what to focus on. So, to start with, I want to give some honorable mentions. First up, we've got OpenAI introducing GPT Rosalind, a purpose built model for life sciences research, great for evidence synthesis, hypothesis generation, and experimental planning. Next, I want to touch on Moonshot, who announced Kimi K2.6 Agent Swarm, capable of coordinating up to 300 subagents in parallel and supporting over 4,000 tool calls per task. So, really heavy emphasis from Moonshot there on the agentic side of things and having a bunch of smaller models do a lot more. And I also want to touch on DeepSeek. DeepSeek is back just over a year after making its first major splash. DeepSeek made another big move, shipping V4 Pro and V4 Flash as open weights models. And finally, I just want to really quickly talk about ZAI releasing GLM 5.1. It's designed for long horizon tasks and able to work independently for up to 8 hours in a single run, covering planning, execution, iterative refinement, and final delivery of an answer. But of course, I have to focus on the two titans this month, starting with Claude Opus 4.7. Now, Anthropic released Claude Opus 4.7 as generally available, positioning it as a notable improvement over Opus 4.6 for advanced software engineering and difficult long running tasks, including better instruction following and self verification. It also ships with substantially improved vision, having far higher resolution image support, and Anthropic's docs describe having a new X high effort level for tuning capability versus spend. And for all this, pricing hasn't changed, remaining at $5 per million input tokens and $25 per million output tokens. Expensive, sure, but the same as Opus 4.6. In fact, it improves over Opus 4.6 on every reported metric. But notice how Anthropic are comparing this to GPT 5.4. Well, GPT 5.5 also dropped in April, with OpenAI framing it as their smartest and most intuitive model aimed at real work, such as planning, tool use, checking its work, navigating ambiguity, and carrying tasks from start through to completion. And whether it's capable of outperforming Opus 4.7 remains to be seen. But initial benchmark scores suggest that Anthropic are still just about ahead in the race, but it's very clear that it's heating up and is getting to bigger and bigger capabilities. So that's April. The big pattern I'm taking away is Databricks is pushing Genie to be the default interface for all business users, even on mobile, whilst also wiring in the governance layer needed to keep agent tool use safe in production. Mythos' preview is the first time where a model release isn't just a normal product launch, it's a major managed security event. And of course, the model race is increasingly about long horizon autonomy, 8-hour runs, tool heavy execution, and can I assign this and come back later behavior. As always, if there's any stories I missed or something you want me to go deeper on next time, please do drop it in the comments. And let us know what you make of April's crazy announcements. Will you consider adopting Databricks Genie as a new business interface? What do you think of Mythos's announcement? Do you think it's all just hype, or do you think this is a real threat coming? And if this roundup helped, please do like, subscribe, and share it with the colleague who still thinks that agent governance is just adding pretty please to a prompt. We'll see you next time.